What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show. Me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com. And today I am giving you my top 5 bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. And all the bets this week come from UFC Fight Night 263 Garcia versus Onama, which goes down on November 1st, 2025 in the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. And look, we're on a run now for the next couple of weeks of not the best cards in the world, although I've taken a pretty deep dive into this main event, and I'm actually really excited about it. It's not, it's not the sexiest in terms of names, but I think two very, very good fighters, and a fight that I think will deliver. So that should be fun. The rest of the card, Anyway, this is not a breakdown of the card. This is some bets. So no matter how good the fights are, we can still get some winning bets, and hopefully we'll do that today. Last week, we did get some winning bets. It went well. So first of all, we had the pay-per-view parlay. 3 of the 4 legs hit, and I tweeted out, whatever you do back against Nasrat Akbaras as he is the last leg of the parlay, and we all know what happened there at one of the nastiest knockouts, honestly, I've ever seen. It was worrying, honestly, at the end, so that didn't hit. But 3 of our 4 bets did hit. Volkov at plus 180. I think that was the money price. I think that was a good bet because I was coming in, I was picking Almeida, and I was like, no, that price is not right. And I think it went exactly the way many people predicted. Like, Almeida could have won it, but I think Volkov got the decision correctly. Murzakanov at minus 112 was just a steal of a price, I think. And then Walker by submission at plus 140 also hit, which is a great bet. The one that didn't hit was Jandiroba at plus money. And then we had 2 flyers. So one was Cyril Gane, and that was a no contest. Obviously, that doesn't go into the record. But at plus 320, the way that fight was going, I think that was a smashing bet. And then Mario Bautista at plus 475. Again, the price, a straight up bet there was good, but obviously he didn't end up winning. So I actually had a mistake last week. I said 88 from 169, I believe. From 173, I believe, maybe I said. Anyway, what's correct? I've gone through it all. I hit 88 from 171. So this week, we hit 3 bets last week. We're 91 from 175. So well over the 50% at the moment after, probably 4 good weeks out of the last 5 or 6. So not bad at all. And we've still only hit 6 flyers. I thought the Cyril Gane one was going to be good, but that didn't end up working. So let's get to this week, and let's talk about this week's bets. I'm going to start at that main event, and I'm going for Steve Garcia straight up at minus 130 as bet number 1 of the week. Watching back a few of his fights, as I mentioned earlier, I was very, very impressed by the way he fought. Like, you look at his record, 18 and 5, and you look at those wins, 4 decisions, and the rest via knockout, 14 knockouts. And I went back and I watched his Sungwoo Choi fight, which was in July of 2024, so not all that long ago. He's had 2 fights since, and like, he was all out attack basically in that fight. Everything he threw was to knock out Choi. Everything Choi threw, he was countering to knock out Choi, and it was rock'em sock'em robots. And I was kind of watching that and thinking, oh god, that's maybe a tough style to bring up to the divisions. But then I watched the Calvin Kattar fight and went all 3 rounds against Kattar, and it was way more like pick you off, land a jab, but with kind of Nick Diaz old school style. The amount of shots he was landing, just bang, 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 touch, 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 and add that to his vicious knockout power. I think that's a really, really good combination. And he kind of proved in that Kattar fight that he's able to bring it up the division a bit against, one of the guys who's been around the top 5, top 10 for, 5, 6, 7 years. Now, Kattar mightn't be exactly what he used to be, but still, you have to be a good fighter to beat him. Onam, on the other side of it, I think is a way more controlled fighter. 14 wins, 7 knockouts, 4 submissions, and 3 decisions. So a bit of everything in there. And like watching his fight against Giga Chikadze and a couple of the older fights, he's really good at controlling it from the outside, using that jab from the outside, but being a step outside, and again, the word control, he controls the fight on the feet. Even in that fight, you saw a takedown, I believe it was in the second round, maybe there was even a couple of them there. which you don't really see from Garcia in the fights I watch. Anyway, I didn't go back and watch all 25 fights or whatever, but I watched 3 or 4 of them, and he's a guy who wants to fight on the feet. But Onama is as well for the most part. But look, when you're fighting Jiu Jitsu, I probably should take him down. So the reason I'm going for Garcia to win is pretty simple, to be honest. I think that word control, I think he's going to gain the control in this fight. I think his jab and his volume are very, very, very good, and are going to literally take away the whole game of Onana. Like Onama, again, a very good fighter and really good at what he does. But when he's taken out of what he does, which I think Garcia will do, what's the answer going to be there? Is it going to be a takedown? I think it's very hard to take down Garcia the way he fights. Very hard to get a takedown kind of from the back foot. You usually get the takedowns when you're going forward and someone else has gone backwards, which I don't think will be the case here. The only issue I'd have with Garcia is, like, can that style last over 5 rounds? Now, he has gone 5 rounds before outside the UFC back in 2018, but never in the UFC yet. And, you know, only, look, he's gone to decision 7 times, absolutely, but all of them 3 rounds apart from that one fight back in 2018. There's no signs that he can't do the 5 rounds, but that kind of, you know, volume heavy style within the power heavy style at the end of it is not easy to continue to do. So that would be my only reservation on it. But I think it's a good price. I think minus 130 is more than fair. Like, when I was looking at this, I thought he had a big stylistic advantage over Onama. I was expecting it to maybe minus 200, maybe minus 210, 215 or something like that. So I like this price. First bet of the week, minus 130, Steve Garcia. The same price for the second bet of the week, minus 130 for Ante Delija in his fight with Waldo Cortez Acosta. Honestly, I was looking at a few different prices for this fight in terms of the props and everything. The fight to go to decision is even money. It's just about favored to not go to decision, which is very unusual for a heavyweight fight. Delija plus 250 for the knockout was something else I was looking. Plus, he's upwards of plus 1,000 for a submission, and Cortez Acosta is plus 400 for the knockout as well. I don't think he'll be getting any submission in there as well. But Delija by decision is plus 310. Again, I was looking at that as maybe a flyer actually plus 350, best price there. And the reason I'm looking at that, like, if you told me about this fight a year ago or whatever, when Delija was coming through in PFL, and even, you know, if it was just him after he's winning the UFC, I would have said, geez, this is a handy enough fight for Ante Delija. I think he'll win pretty easily and probably get the finish. But the way Waldo Cortez Acosta has been fighting over the last couple of years is really astonishing. Like, he's 4 of his last 5 fights have gone to a decision. I believe something like, is it 8 of 10 in the UFC or something like that have finished in decision. 9 fights overall in his 16-fight heavyweight career have gone to a decision, which is an awful lot. And, like, he's won most of his fights recently. Okay, he lost to Sergey Pavlovich, but he beat Spivak, Despain, Arlovsky, Bresky all in a row. So he's a very, very good fighter. But I just think Ante Delija, he's not too dissimilar to Waldo Cortez Acosta in terms of, if the fight goes long, he can win it. He's 7-1 in decisions and has beaten some good guys along the way. But I think he is a little bit more of an all-round finishing game. Like, he's 19 wins inside the distance. He finished Marcin Tybura in his UFC debut, and, you know, finished some good guys as well in the PFL. Hyeon Flier, Matthias Scheffel, you know, and plenty more after. I obviously went to decision, beat Denis Goltsov as well, which is a top win over there. So I wonder, can Waldo Cortez Acosta be the guy, I suppose, not to use the word control again, but who controls the fight with the bigger shots landed and, you know, steals the rounds against, like, looking at the lads he fought recently, you know, apart from Pavlovich, I suppose, which this is kind of case in point. Pavlovich, a guy who kind of hits a bit harder, probably a little bit more of a technical fighter. Were any of those lads as good and as hard-hitting as Ante Delija? I would say probably no. So, and I think Ante Delija can throw in a takedown there as well. Obviously, he's been training with Tom Aspinall for his heavyweight title fight. He's going to be in prime shape as well. I like Delija in this fight. I like him an awful lot. So, minus 130, Ante Delija. Next bet I was going for, I was going to give you a little bit of a better price here, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit. It's minus 163. It's not the worst price in the world, but Norma Dumont against Ketlen Vieira. This price has kind of moved in the last couple of days. She was inwards of -1. She was nearly minus 139. I'm looking here. The best price I'm seeing is minus 144. But I believe she was lower than that recently, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the price has kind of gone out again. I was looking at her like. Look, her record is very, very, very decision heavy. You know, she goes to a decision an awful lot in her career. You know, she's 12-2 now, never had a fight in via knockout, 10 decisions, 10-1 in decisions even. But like, I have an awful feeling that she's going to get that stoppage soon. Now, is she going to get it against Ketlen Vieira? I don't know. So that's the reason I kind of backed out of looking at her to win via decision, because, you know, Dumont to win by a decision is minus 110 as well. Not the biggest difference in price also. Like plus 1,200 to win via knockout, or plus 800 to win via submission, plus 400 to win inside the distance. Again, more other flyers I was looking at, so feel free to have a look at them. But I think Norma Dumont is one of the most underrated fighters in the UFC, to be honest. I really like her, the way she fights. You know, she's on a great win streak at the moment. Beat Irina Aldana last time out, which is a real coming of age. You know, she beat Jaren Durandamy before that as well. The only thing is she hasn't fought in over a year now. And, you know, against someone like Ketlen Vieira, who, you know, has fought twice since. Once against Kayla Harrison, went to a decision with her, you know, put it up to Kayla in that fight and then beat Macy Chasson. That's a bit tough. But I think Dumont is a better athlete than Vieira. I think she's quicker than her. I think she's more technical than her. I think she's a way better boxer than her. I think she can win the decision in this fight. But I also think if she wants to kind of go to that next level, maybe put herself next, maybe she has to up it and get a finish here. But either way, I think she'll win. I think, look, Ketlen Vieira can always use her strength and size and push you against the cage and win a fight that way. But I think Dumont's footwork and her movement away are actually like stand out in that division. And that's why I think she wins most fights in that division, and that's why I think she wins this fight. Like, funnily enough, I actually think she's a tough enough matchup for Kayla Harrison if that fight was to ever happen. So let's see. But Vieira brings something weird. Not weird, but she can always beat good fighters. You know, she beat Holly Holm, she beat Misha Tate, plenty others as well. Kat Zingano. So I wouldn't rule her out, but I have a soft spot for Dumont, and I think she'll win this one. Bet number 4. I've gone for a plus 123 bet here of Themba Gorimbo and Jeremiah Wells to go to a decision. It's very close in the betting outside of that. Minus 130 for Gorimbo. Wells is around plus 115, so minus 130 did I say for Themba. Again, I think both of these lads are at a stage in their career where I think a decision is almost the most likely outcome, even though they've both had a good few finishes in their careers to date. But the reason I say that is Wells is coming off of 2 losses in a row. Won a split decision to Max Griffin, and you know, at 38 years of age, if he doesn't win this fight, he's going to be gone. It's curtains. We all know that. Themba Gorimbo is coming off of that loss to Vicente Luque. It's nearly a year ago now. At this stage, look, if I had to pick someone to win the fight, I'd probably go for Gorimbo. But the reason I'm going for it to be to be a decision is I think, like, Gorimbo being a prospect coming into that Vicente Luque fight, if he'd won that, he would obviously probably maybe even be ranked by now or whatever. I don't think he'll want to put 2 losses together. I don't think Wells will want to put 3 losses together and get cut. So therefore, I think this is going to be a little bit of nip and tuck. Both of them, you know, both are big, tall guys for the, Gorimbo's a big, tall guy for the division anyway, and Wells kind of fights a little bit longer, and I like Wells as well. I like both of them, to be honest. They have plenty of decisions. I think they have something like 14 decisions between them in their career, and you know, both of them. Wells is only 12 wins, Gorimbo 14 wins. So take from that what you will. But I think Gorimbo's going to win it by getting on the end of that jab, throwing shots down the middle, maybe getting a couple of takedowns. Like, he's only 2 knockouts in his career. He's not the best submission artist ever. Wells has only been submitted once ever, and you know, that was against Carlton Harris, okay, a couple of fights ago. But he's a tricky guy So I like this one to go to decision. I just think it's going to be nip and tuck and very, very close all the way through. And then for the flyer of the week, I'm going for Seok Ko to win via submission at plus 900 against Philip Rowe. Now, this is I've done this once before. Someone who's never won via that method. He's never won by submission, but I'm going for him to win by submission. He fought Oban Elliott last time out, and I actually interviewed Oban yesterday, funny enough, so I was watching back this fight, and he was very, very good on the ground in that fight, and like, there's no doubt about it, he has big knockout power and everything, but you look at Philip Rowe, he's only lost via knockout once in his career, and that was his very first ever fight in 2014, so he hasn't been knocked out in, 11 years. And he's fought some very good guys, Angelusa, Neil Magny, Jake Matthews, Nico Price, Gabriel Green and others as well along the way. Hasn't been knocked out since his very, very first fight. The way Cole really impressed me in that fight against Oban Elliott. I think a lot of Oban. I think he's a really, really good fighter. And please check out that interview as well. But I just think he looks so good on the ground in that fight. He looks so dominating. He almost got a submission a couple of times. Oban's very good on the ground, and I think Oban's a better fighter than Rowe. So I think he might have enough to get Rowe down and get him finished. So those are the 5 picks for the week. Garcia and Delija, that rhymes, minus 130, both of them. Dumont at minus 163. Gorimbo and Wells go to decision at plus 123. And then Ko by a submission at plus 900. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please bet responsibly. Please let me know in the comment section below your one bet for the week. And my name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com. We'll see you all next time.